Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Game Hub. I'm your host, Gamer K, and it is still villain month here in the Game Hub. And I might be doing my longest video, and if not dumbest idea I've ever decided to do. The Game Hub is flooded with all kinds of kooky boss ideas. And this one is one of my dumbest ideas I've ever done. And if you can tell by what I'm holding, you know what the theme's gonna be. I decided last year to try to tackle every single boss of Kingdom Hearts with every Heartless, Unversed, and Dream Eater and rank them all throughout every single game. And I know what you're thinking. Are you a moron? Perhaps. But the point is that this boss list is probably one of the biggest ones I've ever done, if you don't count my top 13 death battle ideas with E, and those go on for fucking ever. Well, I hope the next one we do is going to be a little bit more, what's the word I'm looking for? Structured? Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's probably not going to happen. But one can hope. So, yes, I will be ranking every single boss from a majority of the games to the best of the best. Now, obviously, there's going to be a couple rules here. Okay, so rule number 1. Only games okay, so basically, I'm not doing the basic reskin and downsizing rule that Kingdom Hearts has pretty much been famous for with one particular game. I hate you. I love her. I hate this. So, okay, so that's rule number 1. So basically, any bosses that were reskinned and edited a little bit and downsized for 358 days over 2, I won't be doing. Also, I won't be doing the Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories bosses because those are basically just fighting the same ones with the card battle system. And yeah, there's other YouTubers who bring up those bosses when they get to them. Rule number 2. Rule number 2. I will be basing my rankings on 3 criteria: design, challenge, and basically how their boss battle overall goes. So that's an obvious rule to be doing. And so yeah, so basically the design of the Heartless or the Unversed or the Dream Eater, the design of it, how the boss fight is, and basically my overall enjoyment of said boss fight. Rule number 3. We can't bring anyone back from the dead. It's not a pretty sight. Oh no, wait, that's one of Genie's rules. Rule number 3, for my list is I will be basing these on the first time I played them. So basically anytime I went back and replayed the game and I had an easier time of beating the boss, I got a pretty good memory when it comes to like my recollections of video games. So this shouldn't be this should be a difficult one. And because this list is so massive, clocking in at 57 bosses, I'm going to have to make 2 videos for this. So join me now with part 1 as we dive through numbers 57 to 36. Let's unlock ranking every Kingdom Hearts, Heartless, Dream Eater, and Unversed boss fights. Also, because there's such a variety of the list, I'm basically going to do a rush kind of thing where I introduce the Heartless, I introduce the boss, talk a little stuff about the design, boss fight, and obviously, in YouTuber fashion, end with a good joke. Coming at the bottom of the list is the Illuminator. Really easy boss fight. It's a gecko with a lantern on it. It doesn't really fight. It's got less HP than a freaking flood. And it basically just helps the Barbossa fight a little bit, make it a little bit longer by absorbing all the moonlight. Seriously, there's more threatening creatures like Gax and the Geico Gecko than this lizard. Number 57, Ruler of the Sky. This thing is a nightmare! Seriously. Basically, it's a pirate, dragon, sword, treasure chest, gold, skull, from Neverland, and 358 Days Over 2. And it's been on a lot of worst Kingdom Hearts bosses lists for a reason. Basically, you soar through the islands of Neverland, fighting this thing, beating up its tail, and then killing it. What makes this boss so irritating is the fact that the pacing and the movement in 358 Days Over 2 is slower than molasses in cement. That's how slow everything is. And the fact that this boss will also shoot coins at you and throw some blizzard icicles at you, which really doesn't fit for the theme of this pirate level. Yeah, the boss fight is long, tedious, and you will definitely need a stopwatch to know when the fight is over. Yo ho, make this thing get fired out of a cannon. Number 56, Dark Side. I am counting the Dark Side boss fight in Kingdom Hearts 1 because, yeah, Dark Side is basically like the Janus of the Kingdom Hearts series. Once in a while, it's gonna show up. Actually, yeah, it basically showed up in everything except Dream Drop Distance. And, of course, number 2. Anyway, I digress about that. Dark Side, I'm taking the boss fight directly from, the hardest one, which was the Destiny Islands boss, because, yeah, you don't have that much equipment, you don't have that much abilities, so fighting it is a big pain in the ass. Literally, it's basically the only competition that you get before you actually go into the realm of the actual game, Kingdom Hearts. So, kudos. Me and my shadow boss battle. Okay, that one sucks. Let's continue. Coming in at number 54, the Crimson Prankster. I know I said no recolors, but this one actually did a twist. The final boss in the Wonderland story of 358 Days Over 2. Wow, there's a lot of 358 days at the bottom. Who knew? Basically, it's the Trickmaster if it was given the really Technicolor pink look. Seriously, this thing is pastel on pastel. What makes this boss fight good is halfway through, we get a little cutscene where it will split in two. One of these things was hard enough. Two of them is agonizing because you're doing it in the same way you were a boss fight with the Trickmaster in the first game where you are small and the things are giant. And also, you get no help. Yeah, for all the times Luxor joined us to Wonderland, this is, again, we don't get any help with the actual bosses in 358 Days Over 2. Just the stupid escort missions and the search missions. So, thanks, Organization 13. You made this Crimson Prankster an absolute nightmare. Coming in at number 3, Dark Side 3. What? Oh, right, from Kingdom Hearts 3. Basically, an easy way to show us the tutorial and... Okay, yeah, I gotta address the comment about this guy. He's crystal clear. A crystal clear version, so at least they didn't recolor him like they always do. Easy, simple, but what a way to go back to the roots of the series by fighting the very first boss for the very first boss of the new game. So, that works out. Next up. Number 52, the Dark Cubes. Really Big Hero 6. This is what you did? Freaking digital cubes that basically just turn into, like, basically it's what the Microbots would have been if the Microbots were sentient and heartless. God, these things were kind of easy to beat. It was a little annoying to begin with, but at the same time, it's pretty basic. They're just the cubes that form around into a heart around the main cube. And they do rocket fist and tendrils at you like they did, like what Callahan did in frickin' the movie. The Dark Cubes. Well, it was the last area, so... Yeah, I mean, at least the rest of the bosses in Big Hero 6 didn't suck, right? Please? Number 51, the Pot Centipede. This thing gave me a lot of trouble when I was a kid because playing Kingdom Hearts 1, I didn't really have a good figure on the whole controls and how to fight thing. So, yeah. Basically, two centipede bodies connect with the pot spiders and create one long creature. Here's the thing, though. We hear Jasmine's voice saying, "Help me," from one of the pots, because in the cutscene, she falls into a pot that turns into a pot spider. So, when we destroy one, where was she? Was it just seriously, was Jeff Dunham in this doing a Jasmine voice in one of the pots? Can Jafar do ventriloquism? Interesting concept. But yeah, basic. Doesn't feel like a full boss fight, but it's here. Number 51, the Buzzer Queen. Finally, a Dream Eater for once. This, basically, I'm putting all the Dream Eater bosses that we do the dive sections into one boss fight because they're basically the same, just with a little bit of extra difficulty for near the end of the game. The Buzzer Queen is what happens when you take Vespa Quinn and basically put darkness in her. And yeah, a really cool boss fight, which would have been a lot better if it was actually a boss fight and not a dive section boss fight. Sending her little drone bees to spin attack you, where you hit their buttons on the back, and then she gets stunned. And you basically hit her little targets. Hit them a couple times, they destroy, and boom, boss is over. Well, it's still a better thrill than the B movie. Okay, no, wait, I said a better B than the B movie. Okay, that's good. Next. Number 49, the Stealth Sneak. Yeah, fighting this thing, again, as a kid, was annoying, considering it was this. I really love chameleons, and this is a really cool chameleon Heartless. It definitely fits the theme of Deep Jungle, and having Clayton riding it as a mount doesn't really help, considering we can see you riding it, idiot, so we know where to attack. Basically, it shoots light ball energy eyes at us. Seriously, does it have the pig talisman? Anyway, the design's cool. It fits the boss fight. And in all honesty, the only thing that brings it down is freaking Clayton. Seriously, who wanted to kill Clayton? I mean, they already did that in the movie spectacularly. I almost got choked up. But having the monster crash on Clayton is a better PG way of killing him than what they did in the movie. Anyway, still good. Number 48, Data Darkseid. The only boss from Recoded that's getting on this, because it was actually pretty enjoyable. The giant Data Heartless, the giant Data Darkseid basically is Datasaur's dark and heartless. So we fight it for a while, then it turns into Shadow Sora, and then it turns into a giant shadow where we just beat it and end of sequence. Seriously, that's what you chose to do. It feels very, very uninspired. Well, that's DS Kingdom Hearts games for you, people. Number 47, the Leech Grave. How many times have I said this thing is god-awful? The design of it, though, is actually pretty ingenious. A giant parasitic leech with a coffin for a bottom, with arms flailing out, and if you use magic on its tentacles, it spews its poison at you. As much as the boss fight, I hate, the whole concept of it is actually inspired. I mean, the tentacles absorbing Heartless so it gets stronger. And it's based in Oogie's manor, the ruins of Oogie's manor. I gotta say, despite my comments about 358 Days Over 2, they know exactly how to use wasted space. Oh, right, I don't have the drum sound. So, coming at number 46, the Opposite Armor. This thing was a challenge when I played it, and it was actually really cool. When the guard armor came back, I thought it was just the same formula all over the place. And then the halfway point gets there, and it was actually pretty challenging. Mostly because back then, I wasn't really adept at these kind of hack and slash games, and I didn't know how to equip Keyblades. I barely knew how to do that when I was younger, so laugh at me all you want. So I digress. Opposite Armor. A great new spin on an old foe. Wow, that was really lame. Next one. Number 45. Okay, yeah, I'm counting this one because it technically counts as a Heartless boss because it was possessed by one of them. The doll Heartless, which definitely gives me Maid-sama, or what was that Maid anime? The Maid Cafe. Thank you. This thing really does look like an anime doll. The bunny ears, the maid outfit, the dark hair. I actually love it. And the boss fight was surprisingly interesting and surprisingly fun. My only complaint is, yeah, they made two bosses kind of like it with the figurine and the UFO. That was really kind of annoying. So this one is definitely the only one from that on the list. But it's still enjoyable. And what a doll. Wow, that's... Okay, seriously, my jokes are really hit and miss sometimes. On to the next one. Number 44, the Commantus. Another Dream Eater now. And this one is absolute... I put it on one of my worst bosses when I first started doing YouTube. But my opinions have changed. It was a fun concept, and it was pretty interesting. The way it would hack and slash, it would move around the stage instead of in the middle of the stage. And plus, its top attack was surprisingly really cool. And I loved how it tried to regain health. We would hack into it and prevent it from doing it. Overall, we fight this twice. Once in the light cycle, where we just gotta shoot it and avoid its attacks. And I preferred that fight over the one at the final of Riku's story. So yeah, Commantus, you were a cool concept, especially in the digital world, but deleted. Number 53, the Mad Trenant. We have a Unversed, ladies and gentlemen, and this one is the one from Snow White's world. And I'm gonna be honest, choosing an evil tree with bombs and poisoned fruit, that spells Snow White immediately. Although the final mix version, I don't really care for the change of color palette, making it darker and blue. And because the way this one looks, it looks like an actual tree. And taking the concept of when Snow White was terrified, the trees looked like monsters. Taking that concept and making it into this, they definitely barked up the right tree for this design. Barked up the right tree. Okay, I'm not gonna keep explaining it. Number 52, Riku's battle with the Wargoyle was actually really great. Now, I know a YouTuber that I really admire and like really hated the boss fight of Sora's Riku fight. But the Riku one was actually pretty good. Having to actually use the air and fight in the air against the Wargoyle. Although, as cool as it is, I just don't think it fits for this particular level. I mean, we could have gotten a dark angel or something really menacing, or like a clown, like a circus monster. But no, to quote Josh Scorcher, we get a rainbow candy fruit bat. Although this one is still fun. But again, this boss is actually technically easier because we get a lot of leeway with the terrain and everything, and not having to dodge constantly at making it difficult. So yeah, Wargoyle. This is technically the first Wargoyle fight, and again, it's one of the cooler ones, but at the same time, it's still low on the list because it's kind of easy. Coming number 41, Raging Vulture. Oh boy, Kingdom Hearts 3. Can you hammer in these bosses in spades? Now, I'm going to say it is a cool concept, but the way we fight it is just so lame. I mean, we fight it when we get back to the real world in the Caribbean in number 3. And it's just circling us from the sky. And we ride these little... I don't even know what to call these things. So we ride them through the air, and we can use the guns on them to shoot the bird. And then we can get onto its back and get close enough to hit it. And then we have to use barrier when it shoots its fire. And seriously, anyone who gets hit by that is an absolute idiot. I'm just going to say that. But yeah, the Raging Vulture idea, good for the idea. Design, again, good. How it was executed, I don't know them. Command number 540, the Behemoth. One of the only final Heartless bosses that we actually fight was pretty hard when I was younger. But now, going for it, remembering a lot, it was kind of just my lack of experience playing the game, even at the level of where we were. The Behemoth, pretty slow, just jump on its back, hit its horn, and yeah, Heartless have a thing for us getting up on them and hitting them. Behemoth, I love the monster, I love the design, but again, its size just didn't measure up to its potential. Number 39, the Brawlamari. This one was actually a fun one. A cybernetic-looking cephalopod where it would have its blade arms strike us and then use lasers. I did enjoy it, and then but once you defeat it the first time, it spins around and uses its back with more difficult attacks. I gotta say, the Brawlamari was an amazing boss fight. And I'm gonna be honest, I would have rather fought that over the Commantis in the grid. I would have loved to fight the Brawlamari as an actual boss fight more than the Commantis. So, Sushi, anyone? Command 38, the Demon Tide. They made it look like it was going to be a bigger threat in the trailer than it actually was, but it gets a little bit higher because we fight this thing twice, and one of them is in the Lost Passage, and that one was a lot more difficult. Again, I tried to do the trophy on this where you fight all the bosses without having to use continue once. And I actually pulled it off, surprisingly. I guess I'm just too tough to die in video games. Demon Tide, though, in Kingdom Hearts 3, yeah. I know we fight it again at the end, but yeah, Demon Tide, again, interesting concept. I had a harder time fighting you with Aqua and Mickey than Sora and everyone. So, the Tide, it's time to say bye-bye. Coming at 37, the Guard Armor. The first emblem Heartless that we ever get to fight, and it was a pain. The Guard Armor for me is a lot more difficult than the Opposite Armor, is because by the time we get to the Opposite Armor, we are so overranked, more than likely, because we've done Olympus Coliseum, Alice in Wonderland, and everything else, and then we just head back. So, yeah. But yeah, it's basically the design-wise, it's basically what I would expect as a first boss. It's basically a knight's armor. It's just pretty cool. That's basically it. It's simple. It's a classic. It's simple and clean. And hopefully it guards the sanctuary. Next up, coming number 36, the Demon Tower. Again, another one of these basic... Oh, by the way, I forgot to say about the Demon Tide, that and the Demon Tower. Yeah, they're basically Shadow Heartless just swarming all over to each other in different shapes. One of them into a spinning tower, and the other one in a circling motion in the air. Demon Tower gets higher on the list because it's a lot more difficult to fight because it keeps spawning and attacking you relentlessly. So, yeah, Demon Tower, definitely a higher up. And if they do bring it back for Kingdom Hearts, please bring it back and make it better. Number 35, the Threshold. Yes, the Beast's Castle basic boss that everyone has a problem with. Again, it's one of the early bosses, but it's so difficult to fight, especially if you're not powered up enough. It's basically guarding... guarding the gate where the servants are: Lumiere, Cogsworth, Mrs. Potts, Chip, all that. So basically, it's a shadow Heartless that possesses the door and creates these two guardians that are stuck to the door. You'd think going far away would work, but nope. These things have Luffy arms where they can stretch out long enough and slam on the ground, and then they'll also send out gargoyle statues and gargoyle warriors at you in order to amp up the fight. Then, once you hurt it enough and release the possessor from the keyhole, you just gotta hit that a couple times. It will retreat back into the gate and just rinse and repeat until this thing is dead. Awesome design, awesome boss fight, but again, it's definitely still on the low side of the list. And then, oh wait, I've gone over what I said part 1 was going to be. Maybe I can get this all done if I talk fast enough. Number 34, the Trickmaster. Wonderland's resident moron. Okay, not moron. Wonderland's resident irritant. Boss fight, it is fantastic though. This creepy looking thing that looks like it belongs in a story of Wonderland, with its burning sticks that it just keeps flinging at you, and it keeps marching like a moron in a marching band. And I do love that as you hit it, it will get weaker and then it will just drop. I did love that. And we had to use the small size terrain to our advantage. So bonus points for that. So yeah, Trickmaster, definitely a lot better than a Taskmaster. Yeah, we all know what you did. Number 33. Speaking of size difference, the King of Toys, ladies and gentlemen. This is our first grab at a Heartless boss in Kingdom Hearts 3. Because in Kingdom Hearts 3, when we go to Olympus, big surprise, there are no Heartless bosses whatsoever. And I love that. The King of Toys is this absolute beast of a battleship in this amazing toy-centered themed arena that honestly, when I saw in the trailer, I was terrified. And then seeing how the motion and the combat works in number 3, I was still a little bit scared. This thing firing missiles at you, electrocuting itself with a force field. Now, if only we had a T-Rex that ate force fields. Oh, wait, Rex was in this game. What am I talking about? Either way, even though it's still on the 30s of the list, it still made one heck of an impression that I really, really loved. Come in number 32, Riku's fight against the Hacko Monkey. And I really did love this one. Fighting inside of the garden house in Traverse Town. This thing, again, I do like how Riku and Sora fight the same monster, but with different attacks and different animations. This one is a mage without its legs as it floats in the air and creates multiples of its hands and starts to attack you. I do enjoy this boss fight, but it doesn't have the same oomph that Sora's version did. So the Hacko Monkey can keep its hands off because it's still not even near it's definitely still on the lower end of the list. Number 31. I never thought I would put a 358 Days boss this somewhat high on the list. The Antlion from Agrabah. This thing is a monster to do, and the arena that they choose is the entirety of this desert area where there are buildings and blocks and platforms, but this thing it's like a shark in the water. This thing in the sand, it just traverses through the sand and appears out of nowhere. And because of how big the arena size is compared to what your size is, yeah, this thing is a monster. And I do love the concept of using an actual antlion and making it this robotic beast that will send blocks at you and basically charge you to death in the sand. The Antlion is definitely a high point boss fight for 358 Days. But again, Yeah, I got no joke for this one. Let's just continue. Number 30, the Dark Thorn. One of my favorite bosses from Kingdom Hearts 2. Basically, after we defeat the Shadow Stalker, it cocoons itself and creates its own thorn. Wait a minute. Its own rose beast. What? How does that? Okay, that's actually ingenious. Making it what if the beast had a Heartless and this would have been it in spades. The way this thing fights is amazing. It turns invisible, making us grab the chandelier and spin it to capture it, to attack it. It just goes wild with us and acts like Beast does, which is a good contrast for the boss fight. I also love when it throws us into a pillar, we can reaction command it and hit back. I have killed it many times doing that, and it's quite enjoyable, to be honest. So the Dark Thorn, it's not your last petal fell, and your death animation was absolutely pretty cool. Number 29, we're sticking at Beast Castle, ladies and gentlemen, with the Infernal Engine. This thing takes high respect and high concept from Maurice's device in the movie. This thing, we fight it on the bridge, and now that I've realized that the boss fights are usually in the ballroom, in the basement, or on the frickin' bridge. Yeah, way to keep up the fact that Zaldin was also killed on that bridge, guys. The Infernal Engine is a behemoth machine with 3 archers on the top that will be shooting at you, and then it will be using its battering ram mouth and dealing severe damage, and you can't get behind it. The entire room you have to fight in this thing is in front of it on the bridge. Again, I do like they took a lot of inspiration from the villagers, from the mob using a battering ram to break open the gates, and Maurice's machine as concept for this. So yeah, this would have been perfect for the mob song. Just gonna say. Number 28. The Iron Imprisoner. This thing is a monster that I'm putting all of its multiple forms on it in this one thing because it's the exact same thing, just in different stages. First, we fight in the Mirage Arena, which I think is pretty lame, that this thing could have really been an awesome boss to fight in the actual game. First, we fight it in its imprisoned mode, where it just spins around and slams on the ground and spins a fire tornado. And then second time, its arms are free and it's got its hammer weapon, but its legs are still in caps. So it's got swing attacks, it can hammer us home. And the third fight, the legs are released and it's even stronger. And number 4 is its color is different, and as you saw in the 3 versions, its hammer changes, and it's a lot more fearsome. One thing I always also like to add is that each form, the Unversed eyes change, and they go up higher and further to the back of the head. So I love that, and its little twisted ear things kind of grow as it evolves. So I do like that kind of symmetry on this. And you know what? This is a good cutoff point for part 1, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, I'm cutting this video into 2 parts because I don't think I'm going to get through the next 27 with this one video. So, part 2 coming up pretty soon. Coming up in a bit. See you guys there. And we're back, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get going with the ranking every Kingdom Hearts boss. The Heartless Dream Eaters, and the Unversed, part 2. Let's continue with number 27. Can we have a good one on this? Nope, we're still a little bit into the shitty ones a little bit still. The Catastrochorus from Big Hero 6. Okay, seriously, I like that we have an entire wide city to fight this thing, but Again, why is it called Catastrochorus when it should be Catastrosaurus, like Sunburned Albino said? I know I'm name dropping a lot of YouTubers here, but at the same time, I got it because I can't use their jokes without giving them credit. I'm just gonna say. By the way, speaking of which, go check out Josh Scorcher, the Fiery Joker. Go check out Sunburned Albino. I'll put the links into their videos right here and here. And now that plug's out of the way, let's go. The Catastrochorus is a absolute behemoth of a monster, and I do love it. It's basically 3 Heartless in one. One being a Tyrannosaurus body with a volcano on its back and a thundercloud maker on its tail. And after you defeat each part, control of it goes to the other part. Shouldn't the control of it swapped during the boss fight? That way we had to be on our toes and everything, and each one can only be defeated with a specific element. Like, electricity could only have been defeated by a wind attack. Fire obviously could have, the volcano could have only been defeated with ice, and the Tyrannosaurus, with water, and the T-Rex head would have been defeated with ice. But I digress. How's the boss fight? Actually pretty enjoyable. It makes up for making this thing completely extinct. Number 26, the Blizzard and the Fire Lord from Agrabah. These two was actually pretty welcoming, to be honest. I do love duo bosses, and it's something that's rarely done in video games. Having two different things fight you at the same time, and when it happens, it's highly enjoyable for me. The Blizzard Lord, you can plug up its ice breath and then fling it. The Fire Lord bouncing on its belly and hitting it. I do like that you can use their weaknesses against each other, and it really, really works. And I love how no matter which one you defeat last, the cutscene definitely hinges on which one you defeated last. Overall, these two made an Arabian Night pretty enjoyable. Okay, now that we're at 25 out of 57, these are definitely where the boss battles get really, really good. From, let's see. 42 to 26 was where it was getting okay. And now it's getting to where it's getting absolutely enjoyable. 25, one of the few bosses in number 1 that gave me a hard time. The Parasite Cage. This thing was a nightmare, but also a parasite monster that uses poison. Pretty useful in Monstro. Anyway, this thing is absolutely ingenious, and I'm using the second boss fight for this list. So, because, Riku wasn't helping us do nothing. Actually, now that I think about it. Anyway, we're in the final part of Monstro, and this thing uses its arms to flail at us, spits out poison, and absolutely irritates me with the constant use of poison and gastric juices in this chamber. And then its only real weakness is when its mouth opens, revealing an orb of darkness. Yeah, luckily this thing was there, or else we'd have a hard time giving Monstro an excuse to throw us up. Maybe if we got him into a sorority or a frat, that would have worked too. Number 24, the Shadow Stalker. Oh, right, the Shadow Stalker. The first form of the Darkthorn boss fight. Now, this thing is beautiful. What it does when it dives into the ballroom and creates this gothic, nightmare-esque Spencer's Hot Topic looking ballroom, I shit you not. This thing was fun to fight. Having its main focus be possessing the items in the room in order to attack us, from the chandelier and making it lasers, a chandelier with freaking laser beams, to going into the back windows and sending shockwaves at us where the windows aren't. And from possessing pillars and making them like claws and having them scratch along the ground to attack us. Basically, you just got to attack the item it's in and use the reaction command to fling it out and basically go to town on it. Again, if this thing wasn't evil, it would have been awesome for a goth wedding. I'm telling you. Okay, any Kingdom Hearts goth fans out there, take images from that boss fight and use it for your wedding. It's going to be awesome. Number 23, Sora's fight with the Hako monkey. And this one is a lot more enjoyable. Even though it's not a monkey, it's more of a mandrill or a baboon. I hate to get specific on that, but I am an animal guy. I like to get pretty specific. So the Hako monkey fights on top of the glass house of the garden area where Riku fought his boss fight. And this one is more of a brawler. He'll get right up in your face and throw his fists. With his box body, he can exchange his monkey arms for boxing gloves, which, again, does what Luffy does and stretches and attacks us. And then it can also shift into a hammer and absolutely smack down us. Once the boss fight gets a little bit goes on too long, it will jump off the building and slam and breaking the glass ceiling. So we will continue the fight in the greenhouse. This thing is absolutely amazing, and it also would have been cool to fight this if they did a Jungle Book level. I'm just saying, ooby-doo, I don't want to be like you. Number 22, the Ground Shaker. This thing is basically, if there was a version of David and Goliath in Kingdom Hearts, it would be having cute lion Sora and friends fighting this. The accumulation of all the darkness of Scar's ghosts, Scar's Heartless, merging into the savannah and creating, like, I honestly thought we were getting a lion Heartless that was that was a little bit bigger than us, so it was more monstrous, but not a giant turtle ox thing with a rotating head that makes it has horns, and then it makes it has tusks, and with a lion mage on top of it casting spells on us. This boss fight is hell, and I loved it. It was that amazing challenge that definitely, because it was technically the last level before we get to near the end of the game. I do love that they went so far to give us this, giving us the massiveness of the savannah, but also making it somewhat small because this thing's so freaking huge. Dear Lord, thank God they didn't live action you. Although, to be fair, all the budget that would go to animating that would have gone to more of the dung beetle shit scene from the live movie. Yeah. Coming in number 21, the Mimic Master. This is another one that is cool design, and I actually enjoy it. Mimic Master looks like what happens when a university student decides to go to the evil route. Seriously, this thing is wearing a graduation outfit or a professor uniform from old times. It basically smacks you around with its book and uses its dark pages to create copies of you. In order for you to defeat it, you have to basically do the Zexion thing and destroy the pages. And then the thing will come out and you will have to constantly attack it. And yeah, it will keep making more versions of copies of you. And then it will darken your screen so you can't really see that well. Yeah. Although I am glad to throw the book at this thing. Number 20, the Grim Reaper. This thing is fantastic. And I love how they integrated it as the Heartless of all the darkness from the gold coins from all the people that attracted its curse. I love its two forms. The one basic form, and again, I do prefer the original colored forms than from the Final Mix games. Mostly because I feel like it's more of a ghost and not of a Heartless, and not something that's bright colorful. I see the Heartless as dark in color for a majority. But have this thing have two different fights. One where we fight it on the ship where it's a cakewalk, and then on land where we have to... I just love how this thing works. With any coins missing from the stone chest, it will transform from simple and clean to, oh my god, this thing is hard. Basic, and like all the cursed enemies in Port Royal, magic works well against it and will allow it to drop coins. Plus, using its reaction commands in order to get all those coins back makes it so we gotta put all 882 pieces of gold back in the chest before you can do any actual damage. And I really, really enjoy that they implemented, again, much like the Shadow Stalker, they implemented the lore of the movie and the world into the boss fight to make it that much enjoyable. And the fact that the Grim Reaper does this with such a simple concept is why it tops the 20 list. So now it all goes up from here, guys. Number 19 is the Trinity Armor. Yes, that one, that would have been really cool to fight each piece on its own. But no, they come together and do Megazord morphin to become the Trinity Armor. This thing is awesome. From basically punching us to splitting into its three forms and basically doing a tri-beam attack in the middle and spinning around, to spinning around and doing Beyblades and shooting lasers at us. It's enjoyable to fight this thing, especially with the trio. Only problem is we gotta fight this thing 3 times in order to complete the whole story, so yeah, pick and choose there, guys. But it's still awesome. Number 18, the Prison Keeper. The only boss fight from Halloween Town that I absolutely did not hate. And again, the Prison Keeper is so simple in design, being this like this rustic looking fiend with its cage on the bottom where it will eat lock, shock, or barrel. And I do enjoy that each brat gives it a different attack set. From lock, it basically goes red and will throw fireballs at you like it's frickin' War Greymon. Eating shock will make it go up, will make it shoot beams of fire out of its fingertips. And eating barrel will make it go feral. Wow, I just rhymed there. So yeah, it will just go feral and start chomping at you. And then as the fight continues, it will eat all 3, going into ultimate mode, where green wispy waves of energy come off of it. And it's definitely an enjoyable boss fight that I really do enjoy. And it's the only way, and I do like how it takes reference from the cage that they use to get to their to go up the treehouse in the movie. So again, taking reference from the movie and incorporating it into the boss fight, into the design. That's what Kingdom Hearts 2 did really, really well. Number 17, the Lightning Angler. Another boss fight from number 3 in the Caribbean that I actually enjoy. Having the concept be Sora being an idiot to go open a treasure chest where there's a monster underneath, and it's this giant anglerfish monster where we gotta fight underwater, so all of our attacks are kind of screwy and we gotta propel in order to catch up to it. And I do enjoy the boss fight immensely in this small aquatic arena. This is an aquatic boss fight done right for Kingdom Hearts. And it didn't involve us having to change our control settings in a mermaid form. Yeah, let's all forget about that. But yeah, this fish was absolutely enjoyable to fight. And then it coughs up the treasure chest after it's done like it's a freaking Legend of Zelda boss fight. Yeah. Coming in at number 16, Sora's fight with the Wargoyle. It's basically the same thing, just without its wings. Oh, and this is technically our second Dream Eater boss. Well, in the second world, where it's actually tough. And the Wargoyle basically beating the crap out of us with its hammered arms, and it releases them with chains, and it spins around trying to attack us. And because we have very little amazing ability so far, basically we're forced to go up in person with this thing. And even when it spins and it stumbles, it creates a fire ring around us that we have to avoid. It's definitely a brute of a boss fight, but overall, I still enjoy it. Also, we have to fight it 3 times, a third time being the same mode, just in a cramp or space in our Return to Traverse Town. So, yeah, that was enjoyable. Not. Number 15, the Lich. I don't know why I put this one so high, but I think it's the concept. This is a pure bond of Heartless, where where our friends have lost their hearts in Kingdom Hearts 3, and basically the Lich will take us into every single world we've been through, where where everyone's hearts are chained up to this thing, and defeating it in each area will release the heart. And I do enjoy that each character has their own world where they are, as shown by their clear silhouette. And I really do enjoy that we do have to fight this thing. It's not hard, but it also releases a bunch of difficult enemies at us to protect itself. And normally I would refrain from bosses that have other enemies basically do the dirty work for him. But the fact that this thing is more of a coward and constantly running definitely speaks to the character of the monster. And the simple design really gets me. So the Lich is definitely a higher ranking pure blood Heartless. So yeah, it gets a buy into the top, near the top of the list. Number 14 was the Metamorphosis. This is one of the few bosses where you had to keep an eye on something else while at the same time also fighting it. And Ventus fighting this thing with Stitch in the energy room is fantastic. This jellyfish space looking Unversed is the pinnacle of something that's really, really cool. Not only does it spin around the area to attack us, it will also attach itself to the energy core and raise the energy meter. If it gets to the full, we basically lose and the ships explode. And fighting with Stitch, throwing him at the thing works. Having to fight, again, I can't say a lot about it because it's such a simple boss fight, but just the concept of it attacking the ship itself definitely makes it another high one on the list. Number 13, the Storm Rider. This thing was one of my big fears when I had to do the revisit levels. Just the sheer size of it and its design, it definitely has that dragon-esque aesthetic, while also becoming something twisted, as like all Heartless are. From riding its back and attacking its head, to dodging its thunder attacks, and using that reaction command when it soars below, and then using its thunder cannon on us is pure matte beauty. I swear to God, the Storm Rider is one of my favorite Heartless bosses, and it's definitely deserved its spot, but there are better bosses upper on the list. Number 12, and I can't believe I'm saying this with a straight face, the only Unversed boss we got in the new game, the Lump of Horror. Basically, it's a device that Randall made to take over the company, to make more screams. And Vanitas gives it an Unversed makeover, and we either get two forms. One with the blob that looks so stupid and ridiculous, with all the scream canisters in it, where it slides like a slug at fast pace, which I actually enjoy. It was actually pretty difficult. Two, its alternate form, which looks like it's demon coming, like it's a demon made of all the sludge and disgustingness. And that thing is hard to fight, especially when it creates these little tendrils. And overall, as much as Monstropolis disappointed me with not having as much Unversed, and by that having less than a handful, this boss fight really made it up to me. Oh, of course, we didn't get to fight Randall, so that was another disappointment. So, bittersweet for it. Well, we scare because we care, and then it's laughter we're after. Number 11 on the list, the Char Clobster, which is Riku's fight against this boss inside a Monstro, where it has a warm color palette. Take a look. It's basically a lobster with a big-ass shell and toxic cannon's claws, and fighting this thing is annoying because it will go to the far end of the area and up top. And I will admit, the boss fight is enjoyable. It just feels not as amazing as the other version. So, Char Clobster, I would have loved... again, with the rest of the Dream Eaters, I would have loved to see a scene after we defeat them where they all kind of collapse and that energy thing that comes out of them or something like they did with the Hacko Monkey. But, yeah, they don't really do that much with them. So, yeah, that's a disappointment. Okay, we got the top 10 here. Coming at number 10 is the Cursed Coach. This thing is beautifully done. If I was to think of an object, because primarily the Unversed are basically inanimate objects that become monstrous. And if I were to pick an object that would have had to become evil in the Cinderella world, yeah, it had to have been the coat, the carriage. And the fact that they kind of took reference from Cinderella 3 and make it like that monstrous pumpkin carriage that they did. And they did. That thing was really spot on. The perspective of it, the way it rolled around the arena and using its thorn arms and basically jumping in the pumpkin patch in order to squash us. Wow, that was pretty funny. That was a cool joke. And then, like all Unversed, as it goes on, you can see its evil resonating and it starts throwing bombs and everything else at you. All I gotta say is it definitely gave Tremaine and the girls exactly what they deserved. Except the good one who became good in 2 and 3. So much so that they also... Oh, no, wait. It was the other one that was in Once Upon a Time. Either way, Cursed Coach is the top starting point of the top 10. Number 9, the Spelican. Yeah, this thing is pretty annoying and pretty forgettable a little bit. The fact that it ran away in Traverse Town and then made its way into the Symphony level, the Fantasia level. I do love the concept. We are in the music area where we're sliding on comets and dodging comets until we catch up to the thing, hit it, and then we're transported to an arena where we can fight it. Where it sends out brooms after us. It uses magic. It's it's pretty much a really cool boss fight. I'm shortballing it here, guys. The Spelican is pretty amazing. And I do love the design. A witch pelican. And I also do love that one scene in Traverse Town Revisit where it's about to fight us. And then Ryman beats bickering, just freaking and irritated as it's being ignored. That's actually pretty funny. Coming in number 8, the Grim Gardeness. Mother Gothel's evil reincarnated with Marluxia to create this botanical threat. I've talked about this in my plant bosses list, so go check out that for all my comments on this one. But overall, great idea, great concept, great way to use Mother Gothel as a focal point for a villain, for a Heartless. I was just surprised it didn't have any scissors at all. Coming at number 7, the Symphony Master. This thing is also another cool boss fight in the Unversed, especially in the ballroom. Just its design alone, that it's an evil maestro with 3 corrupt instruments, a fiddle, a violin, a horn, and drums. And they each have their own attack. And then as he's conducting, and the one thing I do love is as you destroy each instrument, he gets more infuriated. And then when all 3 are destroyed, his baton basically becomes somewhat of a lightsaber that he keeps twirling at us. Again, I do love this boss battle because of the design, the fight itself, and the fact that this is the second Unversed boss fight in this level that was caused by Lady Tremaine, basically. And seeing this monster was basically what made Lady Tremaine kind of have her negativity overflowing at Cinderella and everyone. And that's when the Cursed Coach came to become in existence. Number 6. Wait, why isn't it showing up? Well, if I don't have the image for it, I guess I'm going to have to not talk about it. Aha! Get down here. Thank you. Yep, it's Holy Moly, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm more than sure a golf version of Wipeout took reference from this name and stole it. I'm just guessing. Holy Moly is one of my favorite bosses as Riku in Dream Drop Distance, because it takes the whole backstage area of the Country of the Musketeers and it uses it just not to fight the head, but its claws, as it can go throughout every portion of the area, from the floor to the ceilings to the walls to the inanimate objects, and it shoots carrots at us for some reason. Again, a great boss fight, a challenging one that definitely uses the area to its full advantage, and it definitely... Okay, yeah, I'll do it. Have you guys got your fill of this yet? Good. Number 5 is the Wheelmaster, the first Unversed. That isn't reversed. And is not so perverse. Of course. The Wheelmaster is the first Unversed boss we technically fight if you do everything in chronological order, which is, of course, Terra going to Enchanted Dominion. Now, taking the spinning spindle from the movie and turning it into this macabre monster is awesome. I do love how Terra is the one whose bosses he has to destroy something to make the boss fight a little bit easier. But yeah, the Wheelmaster is no slouch when it comes to it, how it fights. Considering Aqua and Ventus have time to fight, to build up their level by fighting enemies, in the Enchanted Domain. Terra's is over and done with like that. Yeah, it's definitely the shortest one. But the Wheelmaster is so awesome. He'll use his spindle to ensnare you, where you'll have the reaction command out of it. Okay, not reaction command, but button mash. His wheel can be thrown across the room. He'll definitely jump and create shockwaves. And then when he loses his spindle and his wheel, it gets full of rage and it starts galloping across the area. And it's definitely one of the harder bosses because you're so underleveled, because it's the first boss. It's basically, and I love how the color palette of it signifies the Trick Master in a way. So I love that. What else? That's pretty much it for the Wheelmaster. Number 4 is one that came after completing everything in Birth by Sleep. We get the Dark Hide. Our, technically in chronological order of the games, our very first Heartless boss. And this thing is a monster. This thing is absolutely amazing. The way it stalks in the night, in the shadows of the realm of darkness, with just its red eyes being seen in the dark. And then as the fight goes on, it reveals itself as this awesome predator, because that's what Heartless are. Monsters creatures of instinct. And then after finding out that its weakness is fire, it became an easy boss fight. But the design alone, the fact that it's stalking Aqua throughout the game, throughout the section of the game, it makes the boss fight even more enjoyable. I just wish that we got to see a scene where it's defeated and turns into shadows. So yeah. Number 3, Anti-Black Coat. The nightmare of Sora's nightmare that Riku has to defeat. This boss fight is just freaking wrecked. Like, I can't even explain. This thing fights like an organization member and uses its dark clusters to attack. I honestly forgot about this boss fight, but it's so amazing because it's kind of a focal point of the story-wise. And that's what makes it an amazing boss fight. Definitely number 3. Number 2 is the Chill Clobster, which is Sora's boss fight in Prankster's Paradise. We get the Chill Clobster from the underwater level as it's quite an ingenious way of moving through the water, using its claws as propellers like this to move towards Monstro, and uses its beams to freeze up Monstro. And we have to literally fight on a frozen whale of Monstro, which is an awesome, really cool battle location. And the way it just slams on the ice and uses its claws to propel, to basically try to fan us to death, like industrial fan us to death. Not only that, but because it's all over Monstro, we gotta run around and avoid its deadly attacks with every boss. And what I really love is as it's almost dead, it flies away and it breaks a section where we can hit Monstro and use the ability to do the bubble attack to create Monstro in this bubble, and then we're chasing down the Chill Clobster as it's trying to attack us. And as we get close enough, we hit the button, boss battle ends, and then Monstro eats the thing. That's what got this thing high on the list. Its colorful design, aside of the Char Clobster, which I understand how it became the Char Clobster. It basically adapted to Monstro's body and became more toxic. And the Chill Clobster being eaten, yeah, that's what gets it higher on the list. Not only its boss fight, but the terrain, design, and that last bit was fantastic. And for all you Kingdom Hearts people keeping track, there's only one Heartless boss left. You know who it is. It's my favorite from my least favorite Disney movie, from the darkness of a character who had no lines, who was literally lame in the movie, but ended up making my favorite Heartless. From Arendelle, we have the Mighty Skull. This thing is beautiful. It's this phantom wolf in an alternate dark arena that the Heartless made for itself. It's basically the Scar boss fight on steroids. This thing, wolf rushes us. It pounces on us. It claw swipes us. It does a Ragnarok attack where we need to defeat a lot of its mini wolf spirit tadpoles in order to counter it, or else we're taking heavy damage. Again, and it just keeps going. It turns into darkness and chases at us like Scarred would. And the fact that this boss fight is my favorite animal takes reference from Norse mythology, which technically is Scandinavian mythology, which is where Arendelle is, from my least favorite Disney movie, and from the weakest Disney villain ever, this killer dark wolf. It's my favorite boss among all of the Heartless, Unversed, and Dream Eaters. It gets the top section of the list. Oh. And that's it, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed the list. Like, comment, subscribe down below. And join me next week where we end Villain Month with a game that takes an alternate tale of one of the greatest detectives ever to grace the comic book. And it definitely gives us a new version of a character whose laugh is contagious. This is Gamer K, logging out.